It was a day like no other. The sky above Earth was clear, with no sign of the storm that would soon shake the very foundation of humanity. People went about their lives, unaware that the planet was about to face a threat from the stars. Suddenly, everything changed. A strange, glowing object appeared in the sky, growing larger by the second. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Its shape was jagged and sharp, with metallic parts that gleamed in the sunlight. The object moved at an impossible speed, heading straight for Earth. Panic spread quickly as news channels began to broadcast the strange event. People all over the world stopped what they were doing, staring up in fear and confusion. The object landed in the middle of a vast empty desert. The ground shook violently upon impact, sending massive shockwaves across the land. The skies darkened as thick clouds formed, casting an eerie shadow over the landscape. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then the ground cracked open, and a figure emerged from the wreckage. The figure was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. It was a tall, armored being with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. Its skin was a strange shade of grey, and its body was covered in sharp, metallic plates that shimmered in the dim light. It moved with a terrifying grace, every step exuding power and confidence. The alien warrior stood tall, looking down at the world below as if it were nothing more than an insignificant speck in the universe. A voice echoed across the world, booming from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was deep and cold, with an unnatural resonance that sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. "Humanity," the voice spoke. "I am Ekroth, a warrior of the Krathar Empire. You have been judged, and your fate has been sealed. You will bow to me, or you will face the wrath of the Krathar. This world will be mine, and you will serve or perish." The message sent shockwaves through Earth's population. Governments scrambled to respond, but there was no sign of any military force that could stand up to such a powerful enemy. Ekroth had made his intentions clear, and there was no denying the terrifying truth. Humanity was helpless against this alien warrior. As the world watched in horror, the alien warrior raised his hand, and a beam of energy shot from his gauntlet, slicing through the desert floor. It created a massive crater, the depth and size of which seemed impossible. The power of the strike was beyond comprehension, and the message was unmistakable. This alien was not to be taken lightly. In cities across the globe, chaos erupted. People feared for their lives, unsure of what would come next. News stations reported that armies around the world were preparing to engage the alien, but no one was sure what good it would do. Military leaders were speechless, unable to comprehend the full extent of the power they were about to face. Meanwhile, in quiet corners of the world, some began to ask themselves a question that echoed in the minds of many. Could humanity survive this? Could they fight back against such an overwhelming force? The answer seemed impossible. How could the people of Earth, with their limited technology and fragile weapons, stand against a being so powerful and ancient? What chance did humanity have against the mighty Krathar Empire, a force that had already shown its strength by decimating entire worlds? But even as fear gripped the hearts of millions, there was something else, a flicker of defiance. Something deep inside the human spirit stirred. A sense of unity began to rise. It was small at first, but it was there, growing stronger with each passing moment. In the midst of the chaos, a call for action was made. The world's leaders met in secret, knowing that they had no choice but to work together. There was no room for pride or arrogance. The only goal was survival. But even as they planned their next move, there was one truth that haunted them all. Humanity had never faced an enemy like this before. Ekroth, the alien warrior, stood on Earth's surface, waiting. His glowing eyes scanned the world around him, knowing that he had already won. Humanity was weak, divided, and helpless before him. But there was still something he didn't understand about this strange species. Something that had yet to be revealed. Would humanity bow before him as he demanded? Or would they show a strength that even the Kratha Empire could not foresee? The clock was ticking, and time was running out. The fate of Earth rested in the hands of those who would rise to face the greatest challenge humanity had ever known. But, as the alien warrior stood there, unmovable and relentless, one thing was certain. The battle for Earth had just begun. Asterisk. The world was still reeling from the alien warrior's arrival. The initial shock was fading, but the terror was growing. Governments, military forces, and scientists were scrambling for answers, trying to understand the impossible. How could an alien, seemingly unstoppable force simply waltz onto Earth and demand humanity's submission? The fear was palpable. People were terrified of the warrior's power, the magnitude of which was beyond anything Earth had ever witnessed. In secret military bunkers, the world's most powerful leaders gathered. They had no plan, no strategy, and certainly no hope of victory. The alien warrior, Ekroth, had already demonstrated his overwhelming power. His energy beams alone could turn entire cities to ash, and his advanced technology was unlike anything Earth's military forces had ever seen. The world's most brilliant minds could hardly believe their eyes when they saw his destructive capabilities in action. "I don't know how we fight this," General Thomas said, his voice heavy with defeat as he stared at the holographic display showing the alien's path of destruction. His face was grim. He had led countless military campaigns in his career, but none of them prepared him for a threat like this. "We can't even touch him." Around him, military leaders from all over the world murmured in agreement. They had no defense, no weapon that could hurt the alien. As leaders in the military tried to make sense of the situation, in the shadows, the world's greatest scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to find a solution. They pored over every scrap of data they could find, studying Ekroth's behavior, analyzing the alien ship, and searching for any weakness. After days of intense research, they found a clue that sparked a faint glimmer of hope. One scientist, Dr. Emily Carter, stumbled upon something remarkable. After examining the energy signatures from the alien's ship, she discovered a strange pattern in the energy fields. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The warrior's ship, and perhaps even the warrior himself, seemed to rely on a specific frequency to power their technology. If they could find a way to disrupt that frequency, they might stand a chance. The room fell silent when Dr. Carter shared her discovery. The scientist's words were a lifeline, a potential solution to the unsolvable puzzle. It wasn't much just a theory, but it was enough to ignite hope in the hearts of the world's leaders. For the first time in days, they had something to cling to, the possibility that humanity could strike back. Still, even with this new knowledge, the task ahead was daunting. They had no idea how to implement the solution. The alien warrior's technology was far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. The military forces weren't equipped for such an advanced fight, and there wasn't enough time to build the weapons that might be needed. In a quiet corner of the world, a small group of military strategists, engineers, and former soldiers gathered. They knew this would not be easy. They had no illusions of a quick victory, but they were determined to face this challenge head-on. With the discovery of the aliens' weakness, they began to develop a daring plan to confront the warrior. They knew that, even if they failed, they would have to try. The fate of Earth rested in their hands. The military strategists designed a covert mission to infiltrate the aliens' base. If they could manage to get close enough, they might be able to exploit the frequency disruption technology, sabotaging the aliens' power source. It was a risky move, one that would take all the courage and skill they had. At the same time, the alien warrior, Ekroth, waited. He had given humanity a choice: submit or face destruction. His arrogance was palpable. In his mind, it was only a matter of time before humanity would bow before his might. He had never seen a species capable of resisting his strength. His race, the Krather, had conquered countless worlds, and he believed that Earth would be no different. But as the days passed, something strange happened. A whisper of resistance began to form. The people of Earth were afraid, yes, but they were also strong. As news of the aliens' challenge spread, something stirred deep within the hearts of humanity. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was determination. Despite the overwhelming odds, the people of Earth began to rally. Not just governments, but ordinary citizens too. They began to organize, to stand together. While they still had no idea how to fight the alien directly, they knew one thing for sure: they could not let the Krather conquer them without a fight. In the heart of every nation, the human spirit began to rise. From the rubble of fear and chaos, a new resolve took root. The aliens' challenge had sparked something inside humanity, of fire that could not be easily extinguished. No matter how powerful Ekroth was, no matter how advanced his technology, he had made one crucial mistake. He underestimated the resilience of the human race. And now it was time for humanity to show its true strength. As the world scrambled to find a way to stop the alien warrior, a strange thing began to happen. It wasn't just the military or government agencies that were taking action. Ordinary citizens, everyday people, started to stand up. From the streets of New York to the quiet villages of Europe, people began to unite in ways no one expected. Among them was a group of unlikely heroes. They were not soldiers, not politicians, not world leaders. They were ordinary people who had been pushed to the edge by the aliens' challenge. They were a retired engineer named Michael, a young tech genius named Sophia, a former soldier named Jake, and a brilliant but overlooked scientist, Dr. Rachel Lee. Each of them had a unique skill, and together they were about to become humanity's last hope. Michael, the engineer, had spent his entire life building machines. He had worked for top military contractors in the past, but had retired after becoming disillusioned with the endless cycle of conflict. But when the alien arrived, something sparked inside him. He saw the threat to humanity, and he knew that if he didn't act, Earth might be lost forever. His experience with technology, combined with a lifetime of problem-solving, made him the perfect strategist for the group. Sophia, a tech prodigy, had built her first computer at the age of 8. By the time she was 18, she had created a powerful AI that could outthink most of the world's top hackers. But despite her incredible skills, she had always been overlooked and underestimated by the tech world. When the alien warrior arrived, Sophia knew her talents could make a difference. With her deep understanding of technology, she became the group's lead in hacking into the aliens' communications systems. Jake, the former soldier, had fought in countless conflicts around the world. After retiring, he lived a quiet life with his family. But when Ekroth appeared, Jake felt the call to action. His years in the military had taught him survival tactics, how to think under pressure, and how to fight against overwhelming odds. While not a strategist by nature, Jake's battlefield experience was invaluable. He was the muscle of the team, the one who would lead them through the most dangerous missions. Then there was Dr. Rachel Lee, a scientist who had always been a voice in the background. While other researchers took the spotlight, Rachel worked in the shadows, quietly making groundbreaking discoveries. She had been studying alien life forms for years, trying to unlock the secrets of extraterrestrial biology and technology. When humanity's hope seemed lost, Rachel's knowledge became crucial. She had the answers to questions no one had dared to ask about the alien race. Her expertise in alien biology was key to understanding the aliens' physiology and finding the final piece of the puzzle: how to exploit the alien warrior's weakness. The four of them were united by a single goal: to protect Earth and stand against the alien warrior. They weren't heroes, they weren't soldiers, but they had one thing in common: their unshakable belief that humanity's future could not be decided by an alien invader. Together, they formulated a plan. Using Dr. Rachel's knowledge, they began to work on a device that could exploit the frequency disruption technology. Michael would build the machinery needed to get it into the aliens' base. Sophia would hack into the aliens' communication network, allowing them to disable the warriors' defenses long enough to carry out their mission. And Jake would lead the charge, ensuring the team could infiltrate the base without detection. But the plan was not without risks. The aliens' base was heavily guarded, and the warrior himself would undoubtedly be waiting. Every step they took would be a step closer to their deaths. Yet, as they prepared for the mission, a quiet determination settled over them. There was no turning back now. The night before they set out on their mission, they sat together in a safe house, each one reflecting on their own past, their own reasons for fighting. Jake thought about his time in the military, the lives he had taken, and the ones he could never save. Sophia thought about the world she had built with technology, and how she now had the chance to use it to save her home. Michael, the old engineer, knew this was his final chance to make a difference, to use his skills for a greater purpose. And Rachel, the forgotten scientist, had always dreamed of making a real impact, but she never imagined it would be this. Changing dot. As the clock ticked down, they knew they were about to face something far beyond their understanding. But they also knew one undeniable truth: they had to fight. Not for glory, not for fame, but for the survival of humanity itself. With a final look at each other, they stood. They were no longer just ordinary people. They were the ones who would make the impossible happen. The mission was about to begin, and their hearts beat as one. Humanity would not go down without a fight. The time had come. With their plans set in motion, the group of unlikely heroes stood at the edge of a new, terrifying frontier. The alien warrior, Ekroth, had shown no mercy, and now it was their turn to show humanity's strength. The mission was simple yet impossible. Infiltrate the aliens' heavily fortified base, disable the warrior's power core, and disable his communications long enough to put the final plan into motion. It wasn't just a fight for survival, it was humanity's last stand. The night air was thick with tension as they made their way to the outskirts of the alien base. The landscape around them was desolate, as if even nature had been driven to despair by the aliens' presence. The strange, jagged structures of the base loomed in the distance, casting long shadows that stretched across the barren earth. And was like walking into the mouth of a monster, knowing full well that once inside, there might be no way out. Jake led the team, his instincts honed from years of military experience. He knew how to move silently, how to stay in the shadows, how to anticipate danger before it struck. He had trained for moments like this, though he never imagined they would be this dire. Every step he took was calculated, every movement deliberate. But even he couldn't shake the knot of fear in his stomach. This wasn't a typical mission. This was an invasion of the unknown, and the stakes were higher than any battle he'd ever fought. Sophia was right behind him, her eyes glued to her portable device as she worked tirelessly to hack into the aliens' communication network. She was their key to disabling the aliens' defenses, and every second counted. The pressure was immense, but Sophia had always thrived under pressure. In the quiet moments before all of this had begun, she had been a girl who was ignored, dismissed, and told she wasn't good enough. But here, in the heart of the alien base, she was the one who held the future of humanity in her hands. Michael, the engineer, moved quietly beside them, his mind calculating the next steps of their plan. He carried a strange, compact devices, creation designed to send a pulse capable of disrupting the alien frequency that powered Ekrath's systems. He had built it on a whim, hoping it would work. There was no time for second guesses now. He'd designed this in the face of overwhelming odds, and now it was all coming down to this one moment. Rachel, the scientist, followed closely behind, her eyes scanning the base's structure. Her mind was focused, running over every detail. She'd studied about the alien technology. She had learned the language of the Kratha, deciphered their methods, and studied their biology. She knew that to defeat Ekroth, they couldn't just rely on brute force. They had to outsmart him. And in that moment, Rachel was the one who understood the true nature of their enemy Ekroth's arrogance. He thought humanity was weak, but he had underestimated them. The alien base loomed ahead, its walls lined with strange, glowing symbols. The air was thick with a low hum, a vibration that seemed to reverberate through their bones. It was as if the very ground they stood on was alive with the aliens' power. The team moved closer, careful not to make a sound, knowing that at any moment they could be detected. Every step could be their last dot as they neared the main entrance. A sudden shrill alarm cut through the air, echoing in the night. Red lights flashed around them, bathing the base in an ominous glow. It was too late to hide. They had been discovered. What now? Jake whispered, his hand on the trigger of his weapon, ready for anything. We move forward, Michael said, his voice steady despite the sudden surge of panic. We don't have time to second guess. This is it. Sophia was already at work. Her fingers flew across her device as she scrambled to access the aliens' security system. I can't stop the alarms, but I can access their surveillance. We'll need to move fast, or we're dead. With Sophia leading the way, the team darted through a narrow corridor, ducking behind walls, narrowly avoiding patrolling alien sentinels. The Kratha soldiers were not human, their movements swift and calculated, but they seemed to be searching for something, not understanding what they were up against. Every time one of the aliens passed, Rachel held her breath, praying they wouldn't notice the humans. They reached the core of the Basicraft's main chamber where the alien warrior waited, unaware of the assault. The room was massive, filled with strange machinery that hummed with unearthly energy. At the center, a massive power core pulsated with an eerie light. This was their target. If they could disable it, they could cripple the aliens' forces. But Standing between them and victory was Ekroth himself. He stood there, towering above them, his glowing eyes locking onto their positions. His voice echoed, deep and cold. "You thought you could defeat me, pathetic creatures. You dare to challenge the might of the Kratha." He was faster than they could react. Before they could make a move, Ekroth surged forward with terrifying speed, his energy blade slashing through the air. Jake barely had time to dive out of the way, narrowly avoiding the lethal strike. But they were ready. The plan had begun, and there was no turning back. Rachel was the first to react, her mind calculating the alien's movements. "We need to disrupt his energy field," she shouted to the others. "Now." As Ekroth swung his blade at Sophia, Michael quickly activated his device. A pulse of energy shot out, striking Ekroth's armor and causing a temporary disruption. In his field, the warrior's attack faltered, his eyes flashing with confusion in that split second of vulnerability. Jake lunged at the warrior, tackling him to the ground. The alien roared in anger, but the battle had just begun. Every move from here on would be a test of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and willpower. The fight had only just started, and the warriors of Earth would show that no alien threat, no matter how powerful, could stand against the will of humankind. The air in the chamber was thick with tension. The alien warrior, Ekroth, roared in fury as he attempted to shake off Jake's hold. The energy pulses from Michael's device were disrupting the alien's technology, but not enough to cripple the warrior entirely. Ekroth's strength was unmatched, but there was one thing he hadn't accounted for: humanity's resilience. Jake struggled to keep Ekroth down, his military training kicking in as he grappled with the warrior's immense power. But the alien was like nothing he had ever faced: superhuman strength, faster than anything he could anticipate, and wielding a weapon that could slice through metal like paper. Yet Jake refused to let go, his determination burning hotter than the alien's wrath. He had faced death countless times, but this time it wasn't just his life on the line. It was humanity's future. Sophia worked quickly, her fingers flying across the device, hacking into the alien systems with precision. The alien sentinels were closing in, their steps rapid and mechanical. Time was running out. "I've got it," she shouted. "I can send a virus into their control systems. It'll shut down their defenses, but I need more time." "Keep going," Michael yelled, working with Dr. Rachel Lee to prepare their next move. Rachel scanned the alien power core, her eyes flashing with insight. "We need to collapse the power grid, hit them where it hurts. If we don't disable the core, it'll be impossible to stop the warrior." Ekroth growled, his deep voice shaking the ground beneath them. "Foolish humans, do you really think you can defeat me? You are nothing." The words hit harder than any physical blow. The alien warrior had been invincible until now. He had brought terror across the galaxy, and for the first time, humanity was fighting back with everything they had. But there was something in Ekroth's words, something that revealed his misunderstanding of humanity's true strength. He had only seen Earth's weakness, and not the fire that burned within its people. Sophia's eyes never left the device. Almost there, just a few more seconds. In the chaos of the moment, Jake suddenly felt the pressure of time weighing heavily on him. The alien warrior was beginning to push back. He could see the determination in Ekroth's eyes, the pride of a conqueror who had never been defeated. Jake locked eyes with the alien and knew there was only one thing left to do. He shouted, "Rachel, now." Dr. Rachel Lee quickly initiated the final phase of their plan. Using her deep knowledge of alien technology, she was able to tap into the power core's vulnerability. The energy shifted, and the alien base began to tremble. Ekroth, sensing the change, hissed in fury as his power slipped from his grasp. He turned on the team, but it was too late. In a desperate move, Ekroth swung his blade once more, but Michael, the engineer, rushed forward, activating his own device. A massive pulse of energy surged through the room, sending a wave of shock. Across the alien technology, the warrior's armor flickered, and for the first time, Ekroth faltered. His blade dropped, and his once pristine energy shield sputtered and failed. The team reacted in unison. Jake dove at the alien warrior, using every ounce of strength to push him toward the unstable power core. Ekroth fought back with all his might, but his movements were sluggish now. The alien's arrogance had clouded his judgment, and he had underestimated humanity's ingenuity and heart. With one final push, Jake forced Ekroth into the core's collapsing field. The power core reacted violently, a burst of light filling the room. The alien warrior screamed in rage, his form consumed by the intense surge of energy. The base shook violently, and for a moment, everything seemed to slow down. A silence filled the air, as if the entire world was holding its breath. Then, the silence broke. The alien base began to crumble. The energy field that had once kept forces invulnerable began to flicker and die. The massive power core, now completely destabilized, caused the walls to crack and the sky above to shift. Humanity's greatest enemy, the alien warrior who had challenged Earth, was no more. His empire's hold on Earth had been shattered in a single act of defiance. The heroes stood, breathless and battered, as the alien's base disintegrated around them. They had done it. Against all odds, they had defeated the mighty Ekroth. It was not with superior strength or firepower, but with courage, ingenuity, and unity. Humanity had shown its true power, the power to fight for survival, the power to never give up. The survivors of the battle slowly made their way out of the crumbling base. Jake, Michael, Sophia, and Rachel looked at one another, their faces bruised and weary, but their spirits unbroken. They had been pushed to the edge, but in that moment, they knew that humanity was more than capable of standing tall against any force in the universe. As they emerged from the wreckage, the world saw them, the heroes who had defied the impossible, the warriors who had faced an alien empire and lived to tell the tale. News spread quickly. Humanity had defeated the invincible. It was a victory that would echo through history, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human race. And though the battle was over, the story of humanity's triumph over the alien invader would live on, inspiring generations to come. The strength of the human spirit had been proven once again.